The sterile beep of the heart monitor flatlined like a gunshot in the chaos of the ER and DR. Carter Hayes froze, his gloved hands slick with someone else's blood, realizing in that split-second hell that he'd just missed the one promise that mattered more than any life he could save. "Carter, we need you in Bay 3, gunshot wound," the charge nurse barked, yanking him back from the door where his phone buzzed with Logan's final text. "Where are you? The candles are melting." And as the doors swung shut behind him, sealing him into the fluorescent nightmare of Mount Sinai's trauma wing, Carter whispered to the empty air, "I'm sorry, baby, God. I'm so sorry," knowing it was already too late. 5 years ago, on a sticky July night in a Brooklyn dive bar, Logan Reed had locked eyes with him across a sea of rainbow flags and spilled beer, and in that gaze, Carter had found the anchor his nomadic heart never knew it craved, until tonight, when it all unraveled like a suture pulled too tight. Carter scrubbed his face in the locker room sink hours later, the water running cold over knuckles still bruised from compressions on a chest that wouldn't restart. It was past midnight now, the anniversary clock ticking into oblivion. Their 5 years since that bar in Williamsburg where Logan, with his sharp jaw and sharper wit, had slid onto the stool next to Carter's and said, "You look like a guy who's saving the world one scalpel at a time. But who's gonna save you from that go-doffel tie?" Carter had laughed. A real one. The kind that loosened the knot in his chest after a double shift dodging bullets and bad decisions in the ER. Logan was a graphic designer, the kind who turned chaos into clean lines, freelancing from a loft in Bushwick that smelled like fresh ink and weed. They were opposites in the best way. Carter, the steady surgeon with Irish roots and a family back in Boston who still whispered prayers against his lifestyle, and Logan, the free-spirited Texan transplant with a sketchbook full of half-drawn dreams and a laugh that could cut through New York smog. That night in the bar, after 3 whiskeys and a stolen kiss in the alley that tasted like possibility, they'd tumbled into Carter's cramped apartment on the Upper East Side, bodies colliding like they were making up for lost time. "Your trouble," Carter had murmured against Logan's neck, fingers tracing the tattoos snaking up his ribs, remnants of a youth spent rebelling against oil rig daddies in Houston. "The good kind," Logan shot back, pulling him closer, their breaths sinking in the dim light of a city that never slept. By morning, they'd mapped out a future on napkins. Brunches in the village, road trips upstate, maybe even a dog named Whiskey. Felt reckless, real, the kind of love that American dreamers chase from coast to coast, unapologetic and fierce. But life in the city had a way of grinding down the edges. Carter's shifts stretched like taffy, pulling him from dawn patrols in the trauma bay to midnight codes where the line between savior and spectator blurred. Logan, meanwhile, hustled gigs for indie bands and startups, his loft a canvas of mood boards and half-eaten takeout. They made it work with stolen moments. Coffee runs at Blue Bottle where Logan's hand would brush Carter's under the table, or lazy Sundays in bed with the skyline mocking them through the blinds. "You're my constant," Logan would say, nuzzling into Carter's chest, his voice muffled against the steady thump of a heart that beat for them both. Carter believed it, even on nights when the pager won and guilt settled like fog over the East River. The anniversary had been Logan's idea, a throwback to their first date. Dinner at that hole-in-the-wall Italian joint in Little Italy, the one with the checkered tablecloths and Sinatra crooning from the speakers. "No excuses, Doc," Logan had teased over breakfast a week ago, his green eyes sparkling like the jade pendant he wore, a gift from his abuela back home. 5 years means we're basically married. You blow this, and I'll haunt your dreams with bad pasta puns, Carter had promised, circling the date in red on the fridge calendar, right above the ultrasound pics from his sister's latest kid. He'd even picked up the ring, a simple platinum band with a hidden engraving inside, to the shadow that lights my world. It burned in his pocket now, a talisman against the regret clawing up his throat. The ER that night was a battlefield, the kind that tested every vow Carter had ever made to do no harm. A multi-car pileup on the FDR Drive, sirens wailing like banshees through the canyons of Manhattan. Victims poured in. A mother shielding her kid, shards of windshield glinting in her hair. A teen driver with a crushed femur, screaming for a dad who wouldn't make it. Carter moved like a ghost, ditching, shocking, praying to a god he'd half forgotten. By the time the chaos ebbed, his phone was a graveyard of missed calls. 10 from Logan, each more desperate. Babe? Okay. Something came up? Carter, please. The last one, at 10:47 p.m. I get it. Work first. Always. He bolted from the hospital into the biting November wind, hailed a cab that reeked of wet wool and desperation. Little Italy. Fast. He barked, the city lights streaking like accusations. The restaurant was dark when he arrived, the closed sign swinging like a noose. Through the window, he saw the remnants. A single candle guttering on an empty table, rose petals wilted on the floor, Logan's jacket slung over the chair like an afterthought. Carter pounded on the door until the owner, a grizzled Italian with flour-dusted hands, cracked it open. You him? The doctor? He waited 2 hours. Kid. Left this. He thrust a napkin into Carter's fist. Logan's scrawl, ink smudged like tears. Happy anniversary? Guess some things aren't worth the wait. Don't call. Carter's knees buckled against the lamppost, the ring slipping from his pocket to clatter on the sidewalk. He snatched it up, the engraving mocking him in the sodium glow. Shadow that lights my world. Logan had always called himself that, the elusive one, the artist who danced on the edges while Carter anchored the center. But tonight, the anchor had snapped. He fired off texts, voicemails thick with pleas. I'm here. Please, talk to me. It was a kid. Logan, a kid who wouldn't have made it. No response. The loft in Bushwick was a 20-minute subway ride. But by the time he shouldered through the door, key still under the mat. Thank God the place was a tomb. Empty. Drawers yanked open. Clothes gone. The sketchbook on the coffee table, flipped to their last joint drawing. 2 figures intertwined under the Brooklyn Bridge. Labeled us. Forever. Now. A question mark circled in fresh red. On the kitchen counter, the jade pendant, gleaming like an accusation. Carter sank to the floor, the city's hum a distant roar, and for the first time in years, he cried. Not the polite tears of exhaustion, but the raw, ugly sobs of a man who'd just lost his North Star. Logan was gone, vanished like smoke through the cracks of their life, leaving Carter adrift in the concrete jungle they'd built together. Days blurred into a haze of caffeine and cathedrals. Carter called everyone, Logan's freelance clients, his ragtag crew of artist friends from the Pratt Institute days, even his ex from Austin who'd moved to Chelsea for a fresh queer scene. Nothing. Haven't heard from him since the gallery opening last month, one said, voice laced with pity. Dude was glowing about you, man. What the hell happened? Carter couldn't answer. Not when the mirror showed a stranger with hollow cheeks and eyes like spent cartridges. Work became his confessor, the ER a confessional where he confessed his sins through scalpels and sutures, saving strangers while his own heart hemorrhaged. It was a week in, on a shift that dragged like molasses, when the betrayal hit like a sucker punch. Paging through patient charts in the dim lounge, Carter's phone lit up, not Logan, but a mutual friend, Jax, the bartender from their first dive. Check this. Thought you should know. Attached. A screenshot from Logan's Instagram, timestamped 3 days ago. A beach in Miami. Palm fronds framing a horizon of turquoise. Logan's arm slung around a tan stranger with sun-bleached hair and a smile that screamed California surfer. Caption. Finding my light in the shadows. New chapter by NYC heart emojis. Fire ones. The stranger's profile at Tyler Waves. Bio reading artist. Lover. Free spirit. Let's ride the tide. Carter's vision tunneled, the chart crumpling in his fist. Betrayal wasn't just the vanishing, it was this, the premeditated escape, the new arm candy like a replacement part. He'd slaved in the ER, stitching the city's wounds, while Logan plotted his getaway. The ring burned in his drawer at home. A joke now. He stormed out mid-shift, ignoring the nurses' protests, hailing a cab to Jax's bar in the East Village. Tell me everything, he demanded, slamming a 50 on the scarred oak. Jax poured a double neat, his pierced brow furrowing. He came in last night, solo. Looked wrecked, man. Said something about the final straw, the anniversary, I guess. Then he mentioned this Tyler guy. Met him at that art fair in Soho last summer. Sparks, he called it. But he swore it was nothing, just inspiration, inspiration. The word curdled in Carter's gut like bad coffee. Flashes hit him. Logan sketching late nights, claiming client work, his phone angled away. The late networking drinks. Carter had trusted, blind as a fool in love, because in America, you build your queerness on that trust. 2 guys against the world, flipping off the Bible thumpers and the boardroom bigots. But now it felt like Logan had been the shadow all along, slipping away while Carter chased ghosts. He didn't sleep that night, pacing the apartment that echoed like a mausoleum. Photos mocked from the walls. Them at Pride. Rainbow face paint smeared from kisses. A cabin rental in the Catskills. Flannel-clad and firelit. Logan's head on his lap during a blackout. Citywide. Whispering you're my home. Lies. All of it? By dawn. Resolve hardened like plaque on an artery. He booked a flight to Miami. Impulsive. Reckless. The kind of move Logan would have cheered. Go get your man, he'd say. Irony tasted like rust. The magic city hit like a fever dream. Humidity thick as desire. Neon pulsing from South Beach clubs where bodies writhed under strobes. Carter rented a beater Chevy. The GPS leading him to a bungalow in Coconut Grove. Address swiped from Tyler's geotags. Palm trees whispered secrets as he parked under a banyan, heart hammering like a code blue. The door was ajar, laughter spilling out Logan's, unmistakable, laced with that Texan drawl. He stepped inside, the air heavy with salt and sandalwood. There they were, Logan cross-legged on a rug, sketchpad in lap, Tyler feeding him grapes like some goddamned Renaissance painting. Carter. Logan's eyes widened, color draining like ink in water. Tyler froze, grape midair, his surfer cool cracking into confusion. You vanished, Carter said, voice steady as a scalpel. Left me with a napkin and a ghost. The room shrank, the betrayal a third presence, thick as the humidity. Logan stood, sketchpad tumbling. I needed space. The anniversary, it broke something. You're always gone, Carter. The ER owns you. I waited, and it was just empty. Empty. Carter's laugh was bitter, echoing off the white walls. I was saving lives. For us. And you run to this. He jabbed at Tyler, who backed toward the kitchen, muttering, I'll give you space. It's not what you think, Logan pleaded, but his eyes darted. Guilty. Tyler, he gets it. The art, the freedom. You clip my wings. The words landed like defibrillator paddles, shocking Carter still. Clipped wings? He'd given everything, brunch shifts covered so Logan could create. Holidays rearranged for deadlines. I loved you enough to let you fly, he whispered. But you chose the cage of your own making. They talked or fought. For hours, words, weapons, and bandages. Tyler slunk out eventually, leaving the bungalow to their wreckage. Logan confessed. The flirtation with Tyler. A balm for lonely nights. The anniversary as the dam breaking. I thought you'd chase me, he admitted, tears carving tracks down sun-kissed cheeks. Prove I was worth it. Carter's hand trembled as he pulled the ring from his pocket. You were. Always. But the engraving caught the light, and doubt flickered. Was this love, or just the American myth of redemption? Two broken boys piecing a forever from fragments. As the sun dipped into the Atlantic, they walked the beach, bare feet in sand that burned like truth. Waves lapped apologies, the horizon a promise or a lie. Carter slipped the ring on Logan's finger. Tentative. Don't vanish again, he said. Logan nodded, leaning in, their kiss tasting of salt and second chances. Back in New York, months later, the ER still called, but Carter learned to silence it sometimes, for brunches, for sketches, for them. Logan hung the jade pendant by the bed, a talisman against shadows. Their love wasn't perfect, laced with scars like the city's skyline, but it was human, flawed, fierce, enduring. In the end, vanishing wasn't escape. It was the detour that brought them home. The reconciliation in Miami lingered like a half-healed wound, tender and prone to reopening at the slightest prod. Carter flew back to JFK with Logan in tow, their hands intertwined on the armrest, but the silence between them hummed with unspoken fractures. We'll make it, Logan murmured as the plane banked over the glittering sprawl of the city, his head on Carter's shoulder. Carter nodded, but his mind replayed the bungalow scene on loop. Tyler's retreating back, Logan's evasive eyes. Trust, that fragile American export, didn't rebuild overnight. It required blueprints, revisions, the kind of patient labor Carter reserved for his patients. They dove into therapy on the first Tuesday back. A queer-affirming shrink in Chelsea named Dr. Rivera, with salt and pepper hair and a noble shit vibe that reminded Carter of his residency mentor. Love isn't a solo surgery, she'd say, her office walls lined with framed Audre Lorde quotes and succulents that thrived against the odds. Sessions became their ritual. Logan sketching absent-mindedly on legal pads while Carter dissected his ER compulsions, the way saving strangers filled the void his Catholic guilt had carved. You're not God, Carter, Logan admitted one rainy afternoon, rain pattering against the window like impatient fingers. You can't fix everything. But damn, you try, and he did. He negotiated shift swaps with the chief, a grizzled vet named Patel who eyed him with paternal suspicion. Hayes, you're my best trauma guy, but if you burn out, you're no good to anyone. The trade-off, Fewer overnights. More evenings where Carter came home to Logan's takeout experiments. Tex-Mex fusion that always ended in laughter and spilled salsa. They rebuilt date nights. Starting small. Walks in Prospect Park where dog walkers nodded knowingly at their linked arms. The autumn leaves crunching underfoot like confetti from a second pride. But betrayal's shadow stretched long. One night, scrolling through emails in the loft's dim kitchen light, Carter found it. A deleted thread in Logan's shared inbox. For the records, he'd called it when they merged accounts post-Miami. Messages from Tyler, time-stamped during the vanishing week. Miss your sketches, babe. That night in Soho. Unforgettable. Attached, a nude, artistic and explicit. Logan's hand visible in the frame, guiding Tyler's. Carter's stomach lurched, the laptop slamming shut like a guillotine. He didn't confront, not then. Instead, he slipped into the bedroom, watching Logan sleep, chest rising and falling in innocent rhythm. Was it just once, or the crack that let the flood in? Morning brought forced normalcy. Coffee brewed strong, Logan's kiss tasting of mint and mornings. But the seed festered. At work, Carter's hands shook during a routine appendectomy, the scalpel nicking tissue he cursed under his breath. Steady, Hayes, the assisting resident said, but Carter saw Tyler's grin in the sterile glare. By lunch, he was in the chapel, a forgotten nook in the hospital basement, candles flickering before a cross that offered no queer solace. He prayed anyway, words tumbling out. If this is punishment for loving him, take it. Just don't take him. Logan sensed the shift. Of course. Artists read rooms like open books. That weekend, he dragged Carter to a gallery opening in Dumbo, the kind of scene where trust fund twinks sipped rose and critiqued Basquiat's. Look, Logan said, pointing to a massive canvas of fractured mirrors, shards reflecting distorted lovers. That's us, broken, but beautiful. Carter forced a smile, but when Logan's old Pratt buddy cornered him with, heard about the drama. Tyler's a dick, but Logan's loyal, mostly. The dam cracked. They fought in the cab home, words flying like shrapnel. Mostly, Carter roared, the partition muffling their fury from the driver. You call fucking around loyal? Logan paled, realization dawning. You saw the emails. Carter, it was one night drunk, stupid. Before Miami. I swear, one night. Carter's voice broke, raw as an open incision. While I was elbow-deep in blood. You were lost, Logan shouted, tears hot. I was lost in us, in the waiting, the alone. Tyler was easy. You're everything, and it terrifies me. The cab lurched to a stop outside the loft, the meter ticking like a bomb. They sat in silence, the city's pulse mocking their stasis. Finally, Carter paid, stepping into the chill November air. I need to know if we're worth the scar tissue. Logan followed, grabbing his arm. We are. God, Carter, look at me. In the lobby's harsh light, under the flicker of a dying bulb, they collided not gently, but desperate, mouths crashing like waves on jagged rock. It was forgiveness forged in fire, hands roaming with the urgency of near loss, up the stairs and into bed where bodies spoke what words couldn't. Afterward, tangled in sheets that smelled of them, Logan traced Carter's collarbone. No more shadows. Promise. But promises in New York were as fleeting as subway signals. December brought holidays laced with landmines. Carter's family in Boston, a clan of red-cheeked Celtics fans who tolerated his friend, with stiff hugs and averted eyes. Logan begged off this year, too soon for the Inquisition, opting for a solo Hanukkah with his Jewish ex-roomie in the village. "Go be the prodigal son," he teased, packing Carter's bag with a flask of Jameson. "Just come back to me." Boston was a pressure cooker. His sister's kids clamoring for Uncle Cart's stethoscope tricks, his ma's potato pancakes hiding passive-aggressive jabs. "When you settling down proper, lad? City's rotting your soul." Silent in his recliner, just clapped his shoulder. "Man, speak, for I see you, son." But on Christmas Eve, buzzed on eggnog, Aunt Maureen cornered him by the tree. "Heard from that Logan fella? Such a shame. The wandering type." Carter's blood iced. "What do you mean?" She shrugged, tinsel catching her brogue. "Overheard at Mass. Cousin Sean's a cop in Miami. Said some artist bloke matching his description got picked up for a bar scuffle last month. Drugs? Maybe, or worse." Carter's world tilted, the ornaments blurring. Logan, arrested. It fit the vanishing profile too neatly, the sudden Miami pivot, the evasive texts. He called from the guest room, voicemail swallowing his panic. "Babe, call me. Family stuff, need to hear your voice." No reply by morning. Flight back was torture, turbulence mirroring his gut. The loft was dark when he arrived, a single light under the bathroom door. "Logan," no answer. He pushed in empty, steam lingering like a ghost. On the mirror, fogged message in Logan's finger, out sketching. "Love you. Late." Relief warred with dread. Carter crashed on the couch. The ring box from Miami now a fixture on the nightstand, half opened like an invitation. Dreams came feverish. Logan vanishing into alley shadows, Tyler's laugh echoing, ER flatlines syncing with his heartbeat. Dawn brought Logan, reeking of turpentine and cheap diner coffee. "Missed you, cowboy," he grinned, dropping a greasy bag of beignet. But Carter's eyes were steel. Auntie heard things. Miami. Cops. Logan's face crumpled, the grin shattering. "It wasn't." He sank onto the bed, head in hands. "Okay. Fine. The scuffle, it was me. High on bad E from a party. Tyler's scene. Wild kids chasing highs. I fought some asshole hassling a drag queen. Cops roughed me up, but charges dropped. I didn't tell you because shame. And fear you'd see me as broken. Broken." The word hung, heavy as the jade pendant Logan still wore. Carter pulled him close, the beignet forgotten. "We're both a little bent, babe. That's the beauty." They made love slow that morning, rediscovering contours like cartographers after a storm. Kisses mapping apologies, touches sealing vows. January thawed the ice, their love blooming in small rebellions. A joint tattoo in the village, interlocking hearts with ER cross and ink quill. Weekend getaways to the Hamptons, where blizzards blanketed the world in white forgiveness. Logan landed a big gig, album art for a rising indie band, his loft alive with vinyl mocks and victory toasts. Carter, promoted to trauma lead, balanced the scales with a vow. No more ghosts. We haunt each other now. Yet the climax brewed unseen, a storm front rolling in from the past. It hit on Valentine's, 6 months post-vanish. Logan planned a surprise. Rooftop dinner atop their building, string lights twinkling against the skyline, champagne chilling in a bucket. Carter arrived late, again a pediatric code, a 6-year-old with leukemia who'd coded twice before stabilizing. Go, Patel urged, clapping his back. Life waits for no man. The rooftop was a wonder. Table set for two. Logan's playlist crooning Norah Jones. But Logan's eyes, when he turned, held a storm of their own. You promised, he said, voice quivering. No ER on V-Day. I know. Carter's pager screamed, but he silenced it, stepping close. Tell me how to fix this. Logan laughed. Hollow. You can't. Not when Tyler texts me every week, saying he misses us, and part of me wonders. The betrayal reversed. A knife twist. Carter staggered back, the city wind whipping. You kept talking to him? Not like that. He's persistent. And when you're gone, it's easy to remember the freedom. Freedom. The word that had haunted their therapy notes. Carter's vision blurred. Tears hot. So vanish again? Let me chase shadows? No! Logan lunged, gripping his shirt. I choose you. Every time. But doubt lingered. A third wheel in the dark. They salvaged the night. Dinner devoured in desperate hunger. Bodies affirming what words undermined. But seeds of discord sprouted. Whispers of what if in quiet moments. Spring unfurled. Cherry blossoms in Central Park mocking their wilt. Logan threw himself into work. His art sharper, edgier, canvases of lovers fracturing under urban glare. Carter dove deeper into the ER, volunteering for extra shifts, the rhythm familiar as a vice. Friends noticed, Jack's at the bar, sliding shots with side eyes. You two look like you're dancing on eggshells. Man, the breaking point came in May. A gallery show in Chelsea. Logan's breakthrough. Walls hung with their story in abstract strokes. Shadows entwining, then splintering. Carter arrived fashionably late. Scrubs swapped for chinos. A bouquet of wildflowers in fist. The crowd buzzed. Collectors in bespoke suits. Critics with iPads, but Logan was center stage. Arm around Tyler. Tyler, in from LA for support, his hand low on Logan's back. Carter froze in the doorway, flowers wilting in his grip. The room spun, whispers rising like smoke. Logan spotted him, horror flashing. Carter, it's not, but it was. Tyler's kiss on Logan's cheek lingered too long. Proprietary. Carter dropped the bouquet, petals scattering like confetti from a funeral. Enjoy your shadows, he choked, bolting into the night. The subway ride home was a blur of fluorescent hell, strangers' stares burning. The loft, their loft, felt alien, echoes of laughter now ghosts. He packed a bag, mechanical, suits, stethoscope. The ring box snapped shut forever. A note on the counter, his scrawl neat as a chart. You win the freedom. I'm done chasing. Dawn found him at his sister's in Boston, crashing on the couch amid toy chaos. What happened? She asked, coffee steaming. Carter broke then, the story spilling like blood from a vein. Love, loss, the endless ER tug. She hugged him, fierce. Queer love's a battlefield, bro. But you're the survivor. Weeks turned to months. Summer's heat wave mirroring his inner burn. Logan called, voicemails pleading. Texts poetic. I fucked up. Come back. No more Tylers. Carter listened in the hospital parking lot. Pager silent for once. But hit delete. Healing meant amputation sometimes. Fall returned. Leaves turning like pages in a book he'd closed. Carter thrived in small ways. A promotion to chief resident. Dates with a kind radiologist named Alex who laughed at his jokes and never vanished. But Logan's ghost lingered, in every skyline sketch on his fridge, every flatline beep that echoed our anniversary. The humanistic turn came unexpectedly, a crisp October night. Doors burst open. Gurney with a familiar face, Logan, pale as parchment, abdominal pain radiating like a scream. "Carter?" he gasped, eyes locking as monitors wailed. The team swarmed, but Carter took lead, hands steady despite the quake. Appendicitis, ruptured, textbook, but personal as hell. In surgery, under the lights, he whispered through mask, "Stay with me, Shadow." "Fight," Logan did, waking groggy in recovery, Carter at bedside. "You came back," Logan murmured, for dripping like tears. "No," Carter said gently, squeezing his hand. "You came to me. And that's enough." They talked then, raw as open wounds. Betrayals bared, fears flayed. Tyler was history, a fling, not fire. The vanishing, a cry for the love they'd lost in routines. "I choose us," Logan vowed, ringless finger curling around Carter's. "Flawed, but ours." Carter nodded, the hum a lullaby. No grand gestures, just quiet commitment, the American way, gritty and true. They left together days later, Logan's sketchbook under arm, Carter's scrubs swapped for sweats. The loft awaited, shadows tamed. In the end, their love wasn't a fairy tale, but a testament to forgiveness earned, to holding on when vanishing tempted. Under New York's relentless sky, they walked hand in hand, two men against the world, human, hopeful, home. Winter wrapped New York in its iron grip again, but this time, the cold felt less like punishment and more like a cleanse, a baptism for the scars they'd both carved into each other. Logan recovered slowly from the surgery, his body a roadmap of stitches and stories, confined to the loft with strict orders. No heavy lifting, no late nights. Carter enforced it with the zeal of a drill sergeant, stocking the fridge with bone broth and ginger tea, his own shifts trimmed to part-time supervisory duties. "You're my patient now," he'd tease, spooning soup while Logan grumbled about cabin fever. But beneath the banter, gratitude simmered. Logan's eyes soft when Carter's pager stayed silent through dinner, Carter's touch lingering on the healing incision like a prayer. They filled the days with domestic poetry, mornings tangled in flannel sheets, the radiator hissing like an old friend. Afternoons where Logan sketched from the couch, Carter reading case studies aloud in a dramatic baritone that dissolved into laughter. One evening, as snow flurried past the window like errant thoughts, Logan pulled out the old napkin, the anniversary one, preserved in plastic like a relic. "Burn it?" he asked, lighter flickering. Carter shook his head, taking his hand. "Frame it. Reminder that we survived the fire." The humanistic core of their bond deepened in these quiet interstices, away from the city's roar. Logan started a new series, Shadows Mended, abstracts of fractured light piecing into holes, inspired by their wreckage. Galleries nibbled, but he held back, saying, "This one's for us." Not commerce. Carter, in turn, volunteered at a queer youth clinic uptown, teaching teens about safe sex and self-worth, his tales sanitized into empowerment anthems. "You were my wake-up," he'd tell the kids, voice steady. "Love doesn't save you. It shows you how to save yourself." But old wounds suppurated subtly. Tyler's shadow resurfaced in a junk mail purge. An email ping from 6 months prior. Unread. Saw your show. Proud. Drinks when you're in LA? T. Logan deleted it without a word, but Carter saw the flush of guilt. Talk. He prompted over Thai delivery. Chopsticks paused. Logan sighed, pushing rice around his plate. It's nothing. Habit. He texts like a bad penny. Block him, Carter said. Not harshly, but firm as a suture. We're past pennies. Gold standard now. Logan did. Right there. Phone screen glowing like absolution. But the incident stirred ripples. Conversations turning to boundaries. How Logan's artist soul craved the flirt of inspiration. Carter's healer heart the anchor of fidelity. We're not monogamous by default, Logan mused one night. Wine loosening tongues. Queer love's a spectrum. What if we explored? Carter's gut twisted. Memories of the bungalow flashing. Explored? Like you did with him. The words hung. Accusatory. Logan's face fell. That was pain. Not play. I mean us together. Rules. Trust. The debate stretched into dawn. Voices rising then softening. A dance of vulnerability. They landed on compromise. Open but honest. Check-ins like vital signs. It felt revolutionary. American in its reinvention. Two gay men rewriting the script in a city built on reinvention. Spring bloomed with tentative adventures. Their first exploration was a couple's kink workshop in the leather district. All leather harnesses and consent contracts. Laughter bubbling as they fumbled blindfolds. You're a natural dom, Logan gasped later. Wrists marked red from silk ties. Carter chuckled, tracing the lines. Only for you. Work pulled too. As always. Carter's promotion demanded more admin. Board meetings where suits droned about budgets over Logan's vibrant chaos. Logan scored a residency in Provincetown, a month on the Cape painting en plein air. Come weekends, he begged, packing easels. Carter promised, but the ER conspired, a nor'easter slamming the coast, ambulances flooding with storm victims. The first weekend, Carter made it, driving through gales, arriving to Logan windswept and wild-eyed, canvas splashed with sea fury. They made love on the dunes, salt-crusted and starlit, whispers of forever against the crash. But subsequent weekends frayed. A flu outbreak, a mass casualty drill. Logan's calls grew edged. The ocean's my muse. Carter. Don't let the city steal you again. Guilt gnawed, familiar as hunger. On the final weekend, Carter blocked a shift, racing south in a rental Mustang, heart pounding like bass at a warehouse rave. Provincetown was a queer utopia in summer haze. Rainbow flags snapping, drag brunches spilling mimosas. He found Logan at the gallery, surrounded by admirers, tan torsos in tank tops, one hand on Logan's elbow a beat too long. Missed you, Carter said, pulling him into a kiss that silenced the room. Applause rippled, but Logan's eyes held questions. That night, over lobster rolls at a seaside shack, he confessed, the space is good. Clears the head. But I ache for you. Ache's mutual, Carter replied, feeding him a fry. Let's ache together. Back in the city, harmony hummed, but summer's heat bred tempests. August brought a heat dome, the loft a sauna of sweat and secrets. Logan landed a collab with a queer porn director, tasteful erotica. He swore, bodies as art. Carter supported, even posing for reference shots, nude and unself-conscious. But when the proofs arrived, Logan directing a scene with a model who echoed Tyler's build. Jealousy flared like a grease fire. "You're staring," Logan said, closing the laptop. "Hard not to," Carter admitted, voice tight. "He looks like an archetype." "Not him." Logan knelt, hands on knees. "Trust the artist, babe. Trust us." The fight was brief, resolved in shower steam, water washing away doubts. But it underscored the fragility. Their love a tightrope over the urban abyss, balanced on communications wire. Fall's equinox marked year 7, anniversary redux. Shadows of the mist one lingering. Logan planned meticulously. No restaurant, no pressure. A picnic in the High Line. Blankets and bocce amid wildflowers and tourists. Carter arrived early for once. Basket laden with charcuterie and that Italian joint's tiramisu. Logan appeared in a linen shirt, jade pendant glinting, a sketch under arm. Them, aged gracefully, gray at temples, hands entwined on a porch swing. "Future U.S.," he said, unrolling it. Tears pricked Carter's eyes, hope made visible. They played, laughed, loved under the elevated tracks, the city a benevolent backdrop. As dusk painted the Hudson gold, Carter pulled the ring, upgraded, with Logan's birthstone. "Marry me? Not today, but someday. When shadows align." Logan's yes was a sob, ring slipping on like destiny. Fireworks, literal, from a barge on the river, crowned the moment, New York's spectacle mirroring their spark. But climax loomed, unbidden. November, current date echoing the past, brought Carter's ER into crisis. A subway derailment, cars twisted like modern sculpture, bodies mangled in the tunnels. He canceled Thanksgiving with Logan's folks via Zoom, diving into the fray triage tents erected in Penn Station. Blood and screams a symphony of horror. Logan understood. At first, care packages of protein bars and notes tucked in pockets. "My hero. Come home safe." But as days stretched to a week, texts cooled. Still, the turkey's cold. Carter, bone-tired, snapped back. "Lives over sides. Babe. Deal." The vanishing echoed, a cruel rhyme. Logan didn't leave, not physically, but emotionally, retreating into studio silence. Canvases turning dark, brooding. Carter returned to find the ring off, on the counter like an ultimatum. "What's this?" he demanded, scrubs shedding like skin. "You," Logan said, voice steel. "Gone again." I proposed back, waited. "And nothing. I proposed," Carter roared. "You said yes, to someday. This is now." Logan's eyes blazed. "Tyler's in town. Offered collab. No strings. The name was Venom. Go then. Collaborate your ass off." Logan did, storming out. Carter collapsed, the loft a echo chamber of what-ifs. Days later, reconciliation via DR. "Rivera, betrayal's a cycle," she mediated. "Break it or be broken." They chose breaking through, not apart. Coffee at a neutral diner, apologies over pancakes. "I need you present," Logan said. "Not just physically." Carter nodded. Pager off for holidays. Therapy for workaholism. Promises sealed with syrup-sweet kisses. Winter holidays healed. Logan's family in Houston. Oil fields framing a queer welcome. His abuela blessing the ring with tamales and tears. Carter's Boston clan warmed. Ma hugging Logan fierce. "Your family? Mijo." New Year dawned with resolve. Their love a phoenix burned, but brighter. Logan's show sold out. Shadows mended a queer landmark. Carter's clinic expanded, saving souls alongside bodies. Yet humanism whispered, perfection's illusion. Small betrayals peppered. A flirty nurse rebuffed. A late-night sketch session confessed. But they navigated, therapists and talks their compass. Summer 6 arrived. A road trip west. Route 66 in a vintage camper, chasing sunsets from Chicago blues to Grand Canyon vastness. In a Mojave motel, under neon vacancy, they renewed vows, ring engraved anew, shadows to light, forever. Back east, life pulsed, adoptions considered, a dog named Whiskey indeed. Their story, whispered in bars and beds, inspired gay love not tragedy, but triumph, American as apple pie a la mode. The road trip's afterglow carried them into autumn's embrace, but New York's rhythm reasserted itself like an insistent bassline, testing the seams of their mended fabric. Whiskey, the rescue mutt, a wiry terrier mix with one floppy ear and a penchant for stealing socks, became their furry mediator, his wagging tail diffusing tensions before they ignited. See, even he knows we're good, Logan would say, tossing a tennis ball in the park while Carter jogged laps, sweat slick and smiling. But beneath the domestic bliss, undercurrents swirled. Logan's rising fame pulling him toward LA galleries, Carter's clinic demanding expansions that chained him to grant proposals and grant-writing nights. October's chill brought the first real test postering. Logan's agent, a shark in stilettos named Viv from MoMA Circles, dangled a solo exhibit in Silver Lake, Your Shadows series, but evolved queer icons, American grit. 2 months in LA, babe. Career maker, Logan's eyes lit like Christmas, sketching feverishly that night. Visions of Warhol meets Whitman spilling across paper. Carter toasted with IPAs, pride swelling. Go slay. I'll fly out weekends. But weekends became casualties. A clinic audit, a flu surge taxing the youth program. Logan's calls from the left coast carried static. Literal from spotty service. Figurative from isolation. The scene here's electric, he'd gush. Background hum of WeHo bars. Met this curator. Diego, total vibe. Carter nodded through screens. But the name lodged like a splinter. Mid-residency. Betrayal specter slithered back. A mutual friend forwarded a tip. Logan's Insta story. Tagged Art and Hearts. A candid of him and Diego at a rooftop soiree. Arms slung casual. City lights haloing their laughter. Caption. Inspiring nights. Carter's thumb hovered over like. Heart hammering. Was it innocent? Or the old pattern? Freedom's siren call? He confronted via FaceTime. Screen glowing in the empty loft. Whiskey snoring at his feet. Who's Diego? Voice even. But eyes betrayed the storm. Logan blinked. Gallery clutter behind him. Collaborator. Sharp eye for composition. Why? The photo. Looks. Close. A pause. Heavy as fog. Jealous? After our talks. Logan's tone sharpened. Defensive. It's art. Carter. Not a fair. But it feels like one. Carter's admission hung. Vulnerable. Every time you slip away, I chase ghosts. Logan softened. Pixelated tears welling. Fly out. See for yourself. Carter did. Red eye to LAX. Landing in smoggy dawn. Silver Lake buzzed. Murals exploding color. Coffee shops thick with influencers. The gallery was a converted warehouse. Logan's pieces commanding space. Shadowy figures embracing against faded stars and stripes. Titles like Outlaws of Love. Diego was there, lithe Latino with inked forearms and a disarming grin. Carter? The muse, he said, handshake warm. No threat, just genuine admiration. Logan's work sings of you. Over vegan tacos that night, the three talked till closing queer histories, HIV legacies, the fight for visibility in a post-Obergefell world. Diego shared his own betrayals, a partner lost to conversion therapy camps in Texas. Love's a revolution, he toasted. Keep fighting. Relief washed Carter, but so did clarity. Their open pact wasn't license, but lifeline trust stretched, not snapped. Back in the sublet, Logan pulled him close. No more doubts, he whispered, lips brushing collar. Less, Carter murmured, hands exploring familiar terrain. But communicate, always. The residency ended triumphant. Sales funding a down payment on a country cabin upstate, there someday solidifying. But return flights bred new conflicts. Carter's clinic hit a wall. Funding cuts from a conservative councilman railing against indoctrination for the queer kids. Protests erupted. Pride flags waved in city hall steps. Chants of love is legal, hate is not. Carter testified, voice cracking over mics. These youth aren't agendas. They're us, yesterday's shadows, tomorrow's light. Logan rallied, designing protest posters that went viral. Intertwined hands shattering chains. Slogan Heal the Healers. Solidarity surged, but stress mounted. Holiday season amplified it. Logan's Houston trip solo again. His abuela's health fading. Cancer creeping like ivy. Wish you could come, he texted from the hospital waiting room. Selfie pale under fluorescence. Me too, Carter replied, buried in grant appeals. Love you. Fight for her. Christmas Eve. Alone with whiskey. Carter cracked, decorating a tree solo. Ornaments evoking ghosts. A glittered heart from their first pride. A tiny stethoscope Logan's gift. The ring felt heavy. Vows whispering doubts. Is this sustainable, or just stubborn? New Year's brought Logan home, hollow-eyed but holding. She passed peacefully, he said, collapsing into Carter's arms. They mourned in bed, bodies a bulwark against grief, tears salting skin. You're my anchor, Logan breathed. Don't let go. Never, Carter vowed. But the ER's siren wail outside mocked eternity. Winter thawed into a deceptive spring. Their love a garden tended with care, weedings of therapy, fertilizers of date nights. But climax brewed in April showers. A national conference in San Francisco, Carter keynoting on trauma-informed queer care. Logan tagged along, turning the trip into romance, Alcatraz tours by day, leather bars by night, the Castro's history a queer Valhalla. There, in a dimly lit lounge with velvet booths, temptation tested. A bartender, all dimples and dreads named Kai, flirted shameless. You two, power couple goals. But if you ever swing solo, winks to Logan, who blushed, charmed. Carter watched, Pax permission a double-edged sword. Later, in their hotel, he broached, Kai's cute. Interested, Logan searched his face. Only if you are. Together, they weren't, not that night. But the seed planted, curiosity blooming. A week later, back east, they dipped toes. An app meetup with a couple from Brooklyn, all boundaries and safe words. It was awkward, exhilarating, laughter over wine, touches tentative. No spark for more, but the act bonded, vulnerability shared, trust fortified. Summer sizzled with successes. Clinic funding restored via Logan's viral campaign, his cabin sketches selling for 6 figures. They escaped their weekends, whiskey chasing fireflies, stars a canopy over porch swings. "This is it," Carter said one dusk, head on Logan's lap. "Our forever sketch." But Forever's fine print arrived in July heat. Logan's ex from Austin resurfaced, now a documentary filmmaker, pitching a film on queer artists' postpulse. "You'd be perfect," the email read. "Intimate interviews. Your story with Carter raw, real." Logan hesitated, showing Carter over breakfast. "Exposure good. But our privacy." Carter weighed. Visibility's power versus intimacy's sanctuary. "If it heals others, do it. But we control the narrative." Filming invaded. Cameras in the loft. Mics capturing mundane magic. Carter cooking pasta. Logan sketching his profile. Vulnerability peaked in a confessional scene. Logan tearful, recounting the vanishing. "I ran because I feared losing him to the world. But love's not loss, it's expansion." Carter's turn gutted him. The R saves bodies, but Logan saves souls. His betrayal? My wake up to fight for us, not just survive. The doc premiered at Tribeca, standing ovation thundering. Critics hailed, a humanistic hymn to gay resilience. But backlash bit. Trolls online, slurs slicing feeds. "Fakers," one read. "Real love doesn't cheat." Carter shielded Logan, but doubt crept. Are we poster boys or just broken? Fall's harvest brought harvest of hurts. Whiskey sick, lymphoma, vet's somber verdict. Euthanasia loomed, their boy a shadow of romps. Nights blurred in vet runs. Carter's clinic skills stretched home. "Fight, pup," Logan whispered, holding pause. The end came gentle. Backyard burial under the cabin oak. Mound marked with a painted stone. Whiskey, chaser of shadows. Grief hollowed them, but closeness filled. Walks hand in hand, tears shared like communion. Winter solstice. They adopted Milo, a shy lab mix, tail tentative. "Second chances," Logan said, collar jingling. Anniversary 8 dawned, Yar shift threatening. Carter preempted, off. All day, picnic redux, high line blooming defiant. Ring renewals, vows whispered, through betrayals, vanishings, we choose. But the true climax crested in March rains. Carter's proposal formal. Dinner at the Italian joint. Candles eternal. On one knee, amid Sinatra, he offered a pair. Matching bands, engraved light in every shadow. "Marry me." Legally, loudly, us. Logan's yes shattered into sobs. Yes, a cascade. Cheers erupted. Owner comping dessert. Wedding planning ensued, small, queer, American Boston courthouse with family, after party in the village with chosen kin. Vows exchanged under rainbow arches. I betray my fears to love you true. Honeymoon in Provincetown, waves washing old sins. Back, life layered. Logan's professorship at Pratt. Carter's book deal on queer trauma care. Years folded, humanistic arc bending toward grace. Children via surrogate, twin boys, Oliver and Finn, dark curls and green eyes. Fatherhood reframed, Carter's steadiness a lullaby, Logan's whimsy bedtime stories. Betrayals, faded footnotes, Lessons in a love that endured, not perfect, but profound. In twilight years, porch swings creaking, they'd reminisce, missed that anniversary, but found eternity. Their legacy, canvases in museums, clinics named Hayes Reed, a love story etched in city stone, shadows vanished, light eternal. Decades wove their tapestry with threads of joy and quiet mendings, the loft evolving into a family nexus, walls papered with boys' finger paintings, shelves groaning under Logan's awards and Carter's medical tomes. Oliver, the elder by minutes, inherited Carter's precision. A budding surgeon at 18, interning summers at Mount Sinai, his queerness blooming open like the pride flags he designed for campus marches. Finn, the artist, mirrored Logan, wild sketches spilling from sketch pads, his coming out a casual doodle of two dads kissing, framed on the fridge. "You guys made it cool," he'd say, hugging them fierce. "No shadows for us." Parenting queer kids in America was a vigilant grace. School board battles over book bans, heart-to-hearts on apps and consent. Carter's clinic now a beacon for trans youth. Logan's lectures at Pratt igniting activist fires. Betrayals from youth became lore, told over Thanksgiving turkeys. Lessons laced with laughter. "Dad Logan ran to Miami once," Oliver teased, carving bird. "But Grandpa Carter chased like a boss." "Damn right," Carter chuckled. Logan's foot nudging his under table. A silent love you. Ages crept, bodies betraying slower than hearts. Carter retired first. At 65, the ER a fond haunt, consulting gigs keeping hands nimble. Logan followed, gallery shows thinning to passion projects. Their cabin upstate a retreat where Milo's successors, now a geriatric golden named Sonny, lounged by hearths. Health scares punctuated, Logan's prostate scare, Carter's bypass, each a reminder of fragility. "We outlasted the odds," Logan quipped post-chemo. Bald but beaming, ring glinting. "Cancer's got nothing on our stubborn." The humanistic denouement unfolded in their 70s. New York softened by time's patina, skylines familiar, but gentrified edges grating. A final betrayal, ironic. Oliver's wedding to his partner, a civil engineer named Raj, planned for the cabin. Logan, ever the romantic, insisted on DIY invites, hand-etched cards evoking their own union. But in the frenzy, he misplaced the family album, pages of faded photos, that first bar kiss, Miami makeup, high-line proposals. Panic set in Logan tearing studio apart, Carter calming with tea. "It's us, babe." Unlost. Found eventually, tucked in a sketch drawer, the album became wedding centerpiece. Guests flipping through their epic. Vanishings as plot twists, chases as heroism. Vows echoed theirs. Through shadows, to light. Grandkids arrived. Little Alara with Finn's curls. Theo with Carter's eyes, turning the loft into chaos of crayons and cuddles. Logan doted, sketching portraits. Carter told tales of ER heroics. Moral, love saves more than medicine. The end neared gentle, as they'd scripted in living wills. No heroic measures, just each other. Logan's heart faltered first, atrial fib from years of late nights, but he waved off the hospital. "Home," he insisted, bed by the window overlooking the East River. Boys and grands orbiting like moons. Carter held vigil, hand in hand, their rings worn smooth as worry stones. "Remember the napkin?" Logan whispered, voice reedy. Carter smiled, tears tracing laugh lines. "Burned it." framed the ashes. Laughter bubbled, weak but true. Best shadow I ever cast. As dusk painted the room amber, Logan's breath eased, eyes closing on Carter's face, anchor eternal. Love. You, a sigh. Carter nodded, kissing knuckles. Till the lights go out. Funeral was a fate. Village streets closed. Drag queens lip-syncing show tunes. Canvases lining the procession. Eulogies wove their tale. Logan Reedhays, artist of hearts, vanquisher of shadows. Carter spoke last, voice steady. He vanished once, but came back brighter. Taught me love's not possession, its release and return. Widowhood hollowed, but humanism filled. Carter mentoring at the clinic, writing memoirs of their queer odyssey. Chasing Shadows, a gay love story American as fuck, titled bestseller. Film rights snapped by a studio promising authenticity. Years later, 90, Carter sat porchside upstate, Sonny's head in lap, Gran's reading aloud from the book. Oliver visited, now chief of surgery. You and Dad? Legend. Carter gazed at the oak over Whiskey's stone, leaves rustling like applause. Nah. Just human. Messy. Miraculous us. Sunset gilding the hills. He slipped the jade pendant from his neck. Logan's last gift. Dangling it in light. Shadows danced, but no longer fled. Their love, enduring, a beacon, in America's vast, varied heart. Two men had woven eternity from ephemera, betrayed, but unbroken, vanished, but found. The end? Not tragedy, but transcendence. For in the quiet after, Carter whispered to the wind, "Happy anniversary, Shadow. Candles eternal."